Today, we're not just talking about physics, we're putting it under a microscope. We're conducting a cold, hard audit of a brand new, incredibly ambitious theory called void dynamics, or VDM. Our job isn't to look at their grand vision. Not yet. It's to audit their process. Is their machine for finding truth built to last, or is it all just talk?
I mean, just think about that for a second. The sheer audacity of it. We're not talking about patching a few holes in an old theory. We're talking about building a new foundation for reality from the ground up. That is a minefield of bias, of wishful thinking, of all the ways we humans can fool ourselves.
So, how do you do it? How do you kill your own darlings and make sure every single step you take is on solid ground? How do you make sure you're guided by evidence and not just your own ego? Well, VDM claims they have a system for that, and our job today is to see if that system holds up.
Their answer? You don't just hope for the best. You engineer the honesty right into the process. You build what they call a truth engine, a system with one single, ruthless purpose: to test its own ideas and publicize the results, whether they're successes or failures.
And that's what this is. We're popping the hood on that engine. We're going through their own documents, their code, their results, and we're looking for proof of discipline, not just promises. So, let's get started. All right, here's our audit checklist for today. We'll start with the sheer scale of their ambition, then break down their core architecture. We'll dig into the gating mechanism. That's the key part. Then we'll audit their actual results, the good and the bad, and finally, we'll deliver our verdict.
Okay, first up, the grand ambition. Let's just get a sense of what VDM is trying to do here. They haven't just started coding, they've published a roadmap for a full-blown theory of everything. And take a look at this. They're swinging for the fences. We're talking about the biggest unsolved problems in physics: the mass gap, black hole singularities, dark energy. But here's the crucial part. Look at that falsifier column. For every giant claim, they've already defined a kill switch, a precise condition that would prove them wrong. And that not started status, that's honesty. They're telling you up front, this is the goal, but we are not there yet.
So that's the what. Huge. Ambitious, but with built-in kill switches. Now, how are they actually building this thing? It all starts with a core architectural choice, a clean division of the physics. Essentially, they split their universe into two lanes. You've got the J branch, which is the clean, pristine, reversible world of quantum waves. Think of it as the perfect, frictionless part of physics. Then you have the M branch. This is the messy, real world of irreversibility, the arrow of time, things breaking down. By separating them so cleanly, they can build and test each piece of the puzzle with surgical precision.
Now we get to the heart of the audit. This is the engine room. How do they stop themselves from just seeing what they want to see in the data? The answer is a system they call the gating mechanism.
And it all comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea: pre-registration. You know, it's like calling your shot in a game of pool. Before you even run the experiment or the simulation, you publicly declare in code exactly what will count as a pass and what will count as a fail. No moving the goalposts later. And here's what that process looks like. Step 1, you write a formal proposal. Step 2, and this is the key, you code your pass-fail gates and commit them to the public record. Only then, step 3, do you run the experiment. And step 4, the verdict is automatic. A script checks the results against the gates and publishes the outcome. The human is taken out of the loop at the most critical moment. And this quote, right from their documentation, this says it all. There's a path for success, sure, but there is an equally rigorous automated path for failure. If a gate fails, the system doesn't just stop. It generates a public failure report, a contra report, showing exactly what failed, by how much, and why. They don't just hide their mistakes, they put a spotlight on them. That's accountability by design. Okay, the process sounds impressive, it sounds robust, but talk is cheap. Has this truth engine actually produced anything? Let's audit their public ledger of results, what they call the canon. So here's what's passed their gates so far. Now, you won't see theory of everything in here yet. This is the bedrock. These are foundational tests to make sure their machine is even built correctly. A test of the J branch, a test of the M branch, and a test of how they work together. But look at that gate column. To prove their model of relativistic particles worked, they pre-registered a requirement for a linear fit with an R-squared value of at least 0.999. These are incredibly strict, numerical targets, and the status for all of them?
A clear, code-verified, proven.
And let's just zoom in on that number for a second. The gate required a fit of 0.999. The actual result they got was, well, that. That is an absolutely astonishing level of precision. It's not just good enough. It's a near-perfect match with known physics. This is the standard of evidence required to get something stamped as proven in their book. And this is the whole point. That incredible number wasn't a happy accident they celebrated after the fact. It was a minimum requirement, a line in the sand that was drawn in code before they even started. The standard of evidence is enforced by the system, not by human hope. Okay, so passing tests with high precision is one thing. But I think the true test of a scientific process isn't how it celebrates wins, but how it handles losses. And this is where the VDM discipline gets, well, pretty radical. Take a look at this. This isn't a bug report from an outsider. This is a quote from their own documentation, where the team is publicly flagging a place where their code doesn't match their claims. They literally label their own work broken/wrong. That kind of brutal self-correction out in the open is almost unheard of. And it goes even further. They don't just fix bad ideas and forget them. They actively catalog them in a public list of negative controls. These are ideas that have been formally disproven by their own system. They're essentially building a public map of scientific dead ends, turning their failures into valuable knowledge for anyone who follows. All right, we've gone through the checklist. We've seen the ambition, the architecture, the process for success, and the process for failure. It's time to pull it all together and deliver the auditor's verdict. So let's just ask the question head on. With a project this big, this ambitious, is it all just a fancy story? Is it just smoke and mirrors? Is this process just for show? Based on this audit of their own public materials, the findings are pretty clear. From day one, they've had a falsifiable roadmap. They have a clean, testable architecture. They have a strict, code-enforced discipline of pre-registration. They have a growing public ledger of proven results. And maybe most importantly, they are radically transparent about their own errors. So here it is, the final verdict of this audit. The physics of VDM? It's a baby. It's nascent. The grand claims are still way off in the future. But the discipline, the methodology, the truth-seeking machine they have built, that is not nascent. That is mature, it's robust, and it's frankly one of the most impressive systems for enforcing scientific honesty that I've ever seen. And that really leaves us with a final, much bigger question. Forget VDM for a minute. Whether their physics ultimately works out or not, the process they've built forces us to ask, in an era of hype and a crisis of reproducibility, isn't this the blueprint for how all ambitious science should be done? It's something to think about.